Hey guys, and welcome to Quality Shot. I'm really excited, and it's an absolute pleasure to have Hayden Walsh, West Indies leg spinner, on. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm fantastic, really, really good. Obviously, you had COVID recently, but you're all recovered now.
Yeah, all good. That's out of my system. Well, hopefully it's out of my system, but all good now.
Fantastic, really good to hear. Um, really, really, yeah. I mean, it's strange times, isn't it? Strange times, but it's good that at least you got it out of your system, etc. As well. Obviously, you were scheduled to go on the Bangladesh tour. But looking forward to seeing you out again for the West Indies. Before we get into kind of more current events, do you want to just let people know about your journey into cricket because it's quite interesting?
Yeah, well, sure. It's definitely quite interesting. The way how I got to the international level. Well, playing for West Indies, you know, I've always been like playing regional cricket in the West Indies since 2012. Um, I've had regional contracts in the Leeward Islands and Barbados. Um, I've always been like a fringe player, and I wasn't really happy with that going forward. So I decided to give up that for a little bit to go and play for the US. And they were promising like you know lots of opportunities and all that stuff. There's still a lot of opportunities, but I gave my time to that full time. It was pretty successful. We gained ODI status, um, and we didn't qualify for the T20 World Cup, but we were pole contenders for qualification. Um, but then me doing well for the US, I started to do really well in franchise cricket. I went to GT20, did really well in that. I went to CPL and I got man play of the tournament in that. And then, you know, it suddenly from being a fringe player, I started the spotlight started to shine on me, like big and bright in 2019, and that's when I got selected for the West Indies team. And yeah, that's how I got here.
Yeah, wow. I mean, it's amazing because you talked about the CPL. Obviously, it's such a big tournament in the West Indies, and not just in the West Indies, but globally. I mean, I'm here in the UK, and we all watch it here, and it's a massive, massive deal here. And I know a lot of people that watch it around the world. And obviously, you got MVP or Player of the Series. In that 2019 edition, which was amazing. So, and some of the spells you bowled were fantastic. Obviously, that fifer you picked up, for Barbados as well was unbelievable. Got some amazing wickets. People like Kieran Pollard, who obviously is now the captain of West Indies, who you're probably really familiar with. So, which must have been amazing. I mean, what was the experience like? Obviously, first of all, what was your experience like playing for the US? I mean, how was that?
Yeah, well, it was a really good experience. I I got a little taste of it. Um, First off, I was like, I could probably play a little of this, and play some first class cricket. But then when we started to qualify and things started to get serious, then I really dedicated my time for that, because I think playing associate cricket, I really have a deep appreciation for the guys who play that, you know that level of cricket, because it's just so like intense, and you know a lot of people's careers are dependent on associate cricket. Sometimes, if you don't qualify um, for this year's World Cup, you have like 4 years until you can qualify again. So, you know, um, the guys who play that, they're under some serious pressure, and you know, they're not guys who like, you know, are full-time professionals. They're guys who are like, you know, they have their day jobs, and they only can dedicate a certain amount of time to go and train, or go to the gym and that stuff. So you really got to be talented and dedicated to be successful at that level.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's funny because I've spoken to a couple of other players from Associate Nations, and I think it definitely sounds exactly like what you were saying. That you gain an appreciation even from just speaking to him, who was a player for Scotland, and I was speaking to him about it, and you kind of realise it's a different ball game. Obviously, as I'm sure you found from playing from the West Indies, to the US as well. The CPL experiences that you've had have obviously been, for the most part, extremely positive. I mean, some unbelievable performances really kind of shone in that format as well. I mean, first of all, for you personally, like, how was it playing in the CPL and like rubbing shoulders with some huge names? Not just from the West Indies, but also internationally as well. I mean, what kind of experience was it for you? And did you learn a lot from it?
Yeah, at first, my first CPL, I was with St. Kitts. I rubbing shoulders with guys like Chris Gayle and Carlos, and those big names. You kind of get a little intimidated. Like, even seeing them, they're so massive. You stand up next to them, it's like standing up next to a skyscraper. But like, I really went there to learn and to kind of like see what those guys do and what I can do to improve my game, and to just try and feed off of them. I stuck close to Sandeep Lamichhane. He was with me at St. Kitts and Barbados consecutive years. So I really, rubbed off. Well, try to take some of the stuff from him to, like, incorporate into my game. Obviously, he's a great bowler in his own caliber, but just small things like mental, and probably a few of his googly grips and that stuff. So it was a really healthy learning atmosphere, and I just tried to soak up everything.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And what I have to ask you the question. I mean, what's the universe boss like? Tell me, give me a bit of insight.
Yeah, well, trust me, I didn't expect him to be like so cool and laid back. Like, sometimes we would be in the bus and you'd have to wonder if he's behind there, and you just look back. He's just like so quiet at times, but then when it's like, when he's like, in his own zone, and he's energetic, he has a lot of energy, and it kind of it rubs off on the other players, and the other players get real energetic and all that stuff.
Yeah, he seems like someone who definitely can have an influence, like a really positive influence on people around him if has that kind of energy, like you're saying. So it's interesting because, like, a fan's perception, it's just interesting to see whether it marries up to someone like yourself who's played with him, and whether it's the same thing or whether it's completely different. But it sounds like it's pretty similar, which is quite cool as well. You talked about, obviously, you're learning off other spinners as well, and you're talking about different googly grips, etc. How much would you say, playing in the CPL and the T20 stuff now as well, how much is it more a case of having those different variations, especially as a spinner, as a leg spinner as well? I've got a bit of leg spin, obviously nowhere near your degree, but nowhere near your degree. I'm talking about, local club level stuff, but just for my own kind of to learn as well, and like experiences, like, what kind of variations and different variations do you have for people who may not know, like in the T20 stuff and even ODIs, etc., and kind of what you're working on and what's important, I guess, as a spinner in those formats to succeed?
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's just a case of you knowing your game and you knowing what you're strong at. So I am good at. I spin the ball both ways, but what I do well, my pace off the wicket is slightly quicker than other spinners. More of like a Rashid Khan type. So I try to like stay on the stumps a lot more, so that if the batsman misses, I hit the stumps, or he has to play a really good shot to get me over square leg. Variations, like I have noticed. So I used to bowl my Googly like a Shane Warne type, where I show you the palm of my hand. But what I really found out, playing CPL and other leagues, like the leggies, they use more fingers, and they're able to disguise it a lot easier. But you won't get as much spin. But it's just like the little margins where you spin it a little bit this way and a little bit that way. So it's just, for me, it's just like disguising it a little bit more, probably not getting as much spin, but you get to deceive the batsman off the wicket and in the air.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you're talking about, obviously you've got that one that is more, I guess, is it more kind of out the front of the hand now, that new Googly, then, rather than the
No,
normal
it's
Googly?
more the side of the hand. So
Okay.
I like push the ball. So the Googly, you go like that.
Yeah.
That's the traditional Googly. Like
Yeah.
your hand is facing that way, so
Yeah.
it comes on and it goes that way. But no, it's like more of the side of the hand. So it's like
Okay.
coming out here, and it goes like also body position is important too. So like
Okay.
if you want it to go that way, you have to like kind of point your body in that direction.
Yeah.
So the ball actually comes out just a little. The seam is facing to the batsman just a little bit.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah.
That's interesting. And do you employ then other? I'm assuming you've got a top spinner, a slider. You're utilizing those as well.
Yeah, I'm used. Yeah, I use more. Well, I depend on more natural variation. So I would say I'm a like built. I'm a lot more stronger than probably a Sandeep Lamichhane or like a Adam Zampa. So like sometimes I find my natural variation, like it's the one that just slides right on, because I'm more stronger. Like I probably push through the ball a little bit more. I've actually been developing a Yorker as well. So yeah, so like I after after that Kieran Pollard incident, I was like, wonder how else I could have stopped him. So I thought, well, I probably could have bowled a slow and wider, or I probably could have gone Yorker straight into his legs. So I'm actually trying to develop that and trying to get that into my armory.
That's amazing, isn't it? Because back in the day, like 10 years ago, you wouldn't even think as a spinner to bowl a Yorker, would you? It would be like, you
No.
wouldn't even think about it. But now it's like anything to give you an advantage. And you just think, why, as a spinner, why can't I bowl a Yorker if it's accurate enough? And, and as you said, angling into the batsman's legs, then why not? Is there a chance that you're going to develop a really quick, faster ball like like a Shide Afridi, 80 mile per hour quicker ball?
Ah, No, well, as I said, my natural variation, it's the ball slide. My ball slides on a little bit more. Um, I don't think I want to to speed it up anymore right now. I'm just focusing on probably you know just getting those revs on the ball and getting deceiving the batsman in flight, whether it is a googly or a leg spin or tops the one that slides on. So yeah.
Hmm. As a leg spinner, right? Because I feel that as a leg spinner, you always know occasionally you will get hit for runs, but you're the guy in the game who's going to give, he's going to get the wickets. You've got the most wicket taking ability, right? Especially in comparison to the finger spinners, because finger spinners I feel like are more there to contain, and like they may not get hit for as many runs, but they don't have that slight more X factor that a leg spinner has to get wickets. Um, for you, when you're getting hit for runs, what do you think as a spinner? What's your mentality? Like, how do you adjust? Do you adjust, and what do you think? Do you just think it's more back myself, or do you think, okay, this is what the batsman's doing, this is what I maybe need to change? Like, what's your thinking?
Yeah, also, what has taught me about what franchise has taught me, you gotta know whether you bowled a bad ball or you bowl a really good ball and the batsman has really outplayed you. Um, it's also sticking to the plan. So we do a lot of planning for batsmen. So if you know, like, well, um Chris Gayle is strong down the ground. You're not gonna bowl like right into his arc. You gotta bowl probably wide and bowl a lot of googlies going away. So if the plan is like to bowl wide googlies back of a length and that's not what you're doing, then you know you're bowling badly. And if he's hit that, then you can say, well, hey, he's hit a pretty good shot. Or if, like, he's hit, you think you bowl a good ball, but it's probably just a touch too close, then you can say, well, hey, I probably need to adjust. And you really have to be honest and say, well, hey, that was a really bad shot. Um, like, I remember in the game where I got 5 wickets against Trinidad. I think I had 4 wickets already, and then Darren Bravo came out. Well, he was batting still, and he smacked me for 6 over mid wicket. And honestly, I was trying to bowl a googly, and it just really sat up, and it was just too close to him. So, like, well, I watched it on the big screen. I was like, nah, I tried to bowl a googly, but it was definitely too close to him. And then I think it was either the next ball or the ball after that. I went wider, googly going away, and he just skied it. Wicket.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, so that was a great spell of bowling. Actually, I watched it again quite recently. So yeah, it was fantastic. And it's interesting you're talking about the left-handers and that you bowl majority like googlies to try and get it away from I guess the lefties arc, especially someone like Chris Gayle who likes to, I guess, swing towards the leg side. So you probably don't want to be bowling into his legs, which is quite interesting. You played, you now played quite a few matches for West Indies, and you went to India and Sri Lanka, if I'm not mistaken, last year, well, 2019, 2020. What were those experiences like? Because obviously those pitches out there in India and Sri Lanka are known for being very helpful for spinners. How do you find it? Did you find it was helpful for spinners, and did you really have to adapt to the conditions? Because I'm assuming the pitches and conditions there are quite different in the West Indies. You've got a bit more turn and purchase, but you need to kind of have a lot of control there.
Yeah. The games that I played, so like I think, like, in India they're able to not alter, but they're able to prepare a pitch where they can say, well, we want spin on this one, or we want pace and bounce on this one. Obviously, when you go to like places, different parts of India, you get like different pitches. But I think they're really good with, you know, having what the kind of having good pitches. But like if they want to spin, they'll probably let it spin a little bit more than the others. So like going there, I found like the pitches were pretty good. Like you had to have like control and spin the ball and all that stuff. So yeah, I thought it was gonna rag like big, but the pitches were pretty. They were pretty good, and especially I played in Mumbai as well, and Mumbai was just a dream. It was like playing in Australia, where the pitches were just bouncing and yeah, a lot of carry and all that stuff. So it was a really good experience.
Okay, so more of that bounce then, more than, I guess, as you said, it wasn't a spinner's paradise as much as you're expecting in terms of getting that rag and like grip on the pitch. What about Sri Lanka? I mean, was it the same? I guess maybe not as much rag as you were expecting.
Yeah, it wasn't as much rag as I expected. But they were pretty good pitches. You had to, like, you know, bowl really good and consistent and have a good technique in spinning the ball. So it wasn't a case where you're just gonna run up and just bowl it anywhere and it just spits off. Yeah, you had to like they were really good cricket pitches.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think it's interesting when you go to different conditions, and there's definitely a stereotype that like India and Sri Lanka, you can just rock up as a spinner, and you just pick up like 10 wickets, in a test match, for example, and you'll rag constantly. But I think that's definitely not the case anymore. For you, I guess, wanted to ask you, growing up, how did you get into cricket though as a kid? Like, how did you get into, I guess, into cricket growing up as a kid, and what were your experiences growing up as a kid as well, and in the game of cricket?
So growing up, my dad was a cricketer, and like he had other brothers, and they all played for Antigua cricket team. So growing up, I would, as early as I can remember, it was probably like 4 years old. There's a newspaper article with me with my bat and my ball, and I would just follow my dad to play, well, to watch him play. And eventually, as I started getting older, I would started playing with the other kids that were there, or whoever it was there. And then watching TV, then heroes were Brian Lara. I wanted to be like Brian Lara and bowl leg spin like Shane Warne. So cricket was a part of my life from a very young age. So I think it's kind of expected for me to continue that career and or even to just be around cricket for a long time.
There's like a legacy then, isn't it? And yeah, that makes sense. And I know that your dad, I think, was a left-handed batsman as well, and obviously
Yes,
you are as well. So is that how so I'm assuming that you're right-handed, but you learned how to bat left-handed from your dad, and obviously Brian Lara, I'm assuming as well, is it?
Yeah. It's basically that. Like whoever I was watching was left-handed, so I just picked that up immediately.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny, isn't it? Because when you see someone who's bowling right-handed, like for example, Tom Stuart Broad, for example, Ben Stokes, that they're right-hand bowlers and they're batting left-handed, and it just seems strange, but it's natural, obviously. And for you, I'm assuming it's the same. It's just what you grow up learning. It's really interesting to see. You kind of mentioned it, obviously. I was going to ask you about some of your heroes or models growing up? So obviously Shane Warne and Brian Lara. Were there any others that you really, as you're growing up, you had in your mind that, oh, actually, I really like the way they're playing. You know, I want to pick up parts of their game, or even just that you thought they were really entertaining to watch whilst you're growing up?
Well, those were the two standouts. You know, I always like leg spinners were always like my thing to watch. Even though like I would watch all the leg spinners and see what they do. So like Shai Afridi started pretty early, didn't he? And then you have Mushtaq Ahmed and Kumble, yeah. So I would not model off of them, but you know, be really excited to watch those guys play and bowl.
Oh, that's cool. So you're saying that obviously you just love watching leg spin bowling. So who would you say, obviously apart from yourself, who's the best leggy around now, do you think?
Well, definitely Rashid Khan is up there. You have Imran Tahir. I have he's pretty good. Then you have around the franchise is Sandeep. Sandeep is quality. You have Fawad Ahmed. I have a lot of ratings for him. Zampa is up there too. Yeah.
Nice. That's cool. It's interesting to get your take on it, actually, because like you, I love watching leg spinners bowl. So you know, obviously here in the UK we've got Adil Rashid, so I watch him quite a lot, and Adam Zampa as well because of Australia, which is quite interesting. I guess one question I had for you, which was, it's an interesting one. And it doesn't necessarily need to be the player that's done the most. It can just be the player that maybe has had the most talent, might not have fulfilled their potential as much as maybe they could have. But out of all the players that you've played with, who do you think, if you had to pick one player who has the most ability, who would it be?
Well, leg spin.
Just in general.
Wow. Well, you know, like currently,
yeah,
I would say like playing with Shea Hope, like he's even bowling against him in the nets is just so hard. You don't really tie him down a lot. You'd really have to be bowling on a wet, spongy wicket to kind of keep him quiet. Yeah, he's pretty. He's very skillful, and you know, I think he's gonna be one of the greats in the years to come.
Yeah, he's on a ridiculous run of form, isn't he? I think it's 5 consecutive 50+ scores in ODIs, and he averages over like 53. He had a fantastic series as well against Sri Lanka, so he's a phenomenal player. So I can see why you said him. And if you had to pick one player that you played against, who's maybe the toughest batsman that you faced, either internationally or even franchises, who would it be?
Kohli. I would say Kohli. I've played against him and I've bowled against him, and yeah, we would have had a small little battle, and I thought I had him like at one point where I bowled him a Googly, and I'm not sure if the ball just came off slow off the pitch, but he was just able to just kind of like swat it out of the way, because I deceived him, but he just managed to like get out of trouble. And a player like that, I think, you know, when players are able to like get out of trouble that quickly and that easily, I think, you know, those players are of high quality.
Yeah. I mean, Yeah. What can I say about him? Obviously, a phenomenal cricketer. So it must have been an incredible challenge, right, for you to bowl against him as well. And does he have that aura around him, like when you play against him, of someone that I feel like this. And correct me if I'm wrong. There's some players that when you play against, they have that aura of just greatness around them. Is he one of those players that has that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he has that. He brings that energy that he's just gonna come and dominate you. So, yeah, actually, in our team meetings, we talk about not giving him that energy, because if you come at him, he's gonna come back hard, and that is what he feeds off of. So it's just like probably just not giving him that energy that he wants. The crowd would boost him up for sure. When he, especially when he's in India. So if he's getting that energy from the crowd, why are we gonna give him that energy to come at us?
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember the Kesrick Williams incident, where he's like, I think Kesrick did that years ago before, and I don't know, he probably didn't forget it, but he was able to use that energy to, come out on top and to just dominate Kesrick.
Yeah,
So
it's funny, isn't it? Because you're completely right. I feel like he's someone who definitely, even if the energy is bad or good, he just feeds off it, and he just makes it into like competition. It fires him up, and you just kind of don't want to get involved in it. You just want to say, actually, we'll do our business. You talked about like the team, right? So at the moment, the West Indies have a plethora of unbelievable talent at the moment. You guys have obviously got Kieran Pollard, who's the white ball captain, and you've got people in there like Jason Holder, Andre Russell, Chris Gayle. I mean, the list goes on. Dwayne Bravo, just Darren Bravo, Shea Hope. Talking about all these incredible players. I mean, I do feel like, I mean, you guys, a lot of people forget, but you guys are the reigning world T20 champions, right? So going into the World Cup, which is this year, what do you think? What are you guys discussing? I mean, surely you guys are thinking we've got a good chance here. We're the reigning champions. We've got a really good team. Surely you're just going to be going for it and expecting to just try and win it. Surely.
yeah. The coach, even when was our last in New Zealand, we have been the coach has been coach and captain has been talking in team meetings about getting ready for the World Cup and getting prepared for the World Cup. So it's definitely something that we're going after, and we're going hard for it. Me personally, my goal is to be there at the World Cup, and my goal is to also be there assisting the team winning the World Cup.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. So your ambitions for this year. So you've just said that obviously to be there in the World Cup, and hopefully playing a major role in it. Apart from that, do you have other goals for this year that you'd like to fulfill?
Yeah, probably small goals. Maybe I'm not sure how far it is, but I would like to play Test cricket. But my main goal, the main cake, or if you want to say, is going making the World Cup squad, and not just playing a major role in the World Cup squad.
Yeah, being on that plane and being in that side. No, I completely get that, 100%. Yeah, it's going to be an incredible tournament, I think, as well. And there's still a bit of time until it. So yeah, fingers crossed. You make it there, but yeah, it's definitely going to be incredible. And what are the next couple of months like for you? What's your kind of short-term goals? Obviously, getting back. As I said, you had COVID. You're recovering. What cricket's on the horizon?
Yeah, so we have so after the test series, we've got a little break for IPL. So I'm gonna take that time to, to really get in some work and get in some 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 skill work, target practice, and just keeping my skills sharp, getting fitter, um, working on my batting for those death overs. Um, Also, so after that, now we've got South Africa coming in June. So I'm looking towards that in a short-term aspect. Just building from there. We've actually got a lot of cricket coming up. So we've got South Africa, and then we've got Pakistan and Australia. So we've got actually we were speaking about it. We've got 15 T20s before the World Cup. So definitely looking forward to playing majority of those games. And after those games, we've got CPL and then the World Cup. So I'm definitely looking forward to gaining momentum, building up momentum going into the World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like there's a lot of cricket and opportunities to perform and really push yourself, as you said, into that side again, which obviously you've already been in. So yeah, fingers crossed, and I'll definitely be keeping an eye out for those international matches, especially, and also the CPL, but even more so the West Indies Pakistan series, because I'm originally from Pakistan as well, so I'll be keeping an eye on that as well. So if you're playing, I'll be rooting for you, but obviously I might have to back Pakistan as well.
No worries, no worries, no worries.
No, thank you so much, Hayden, for being on. I really appreciate it. Is there anything you want to touch upon before we wrap up?
No, I'm good, thanks. Yeah, yeah. I'm just looking forward to getting back and coming back stronger, and being being better than being a better player than I was, and being a real force to reckon with coming up.
Yeah, well, I can't wait to see you back out, and look forward to seeing those variations we were talking about as well, in action as well. And I'm sure we'll see some fantastic performances once again. Yeah, thanks again, mate. I really appreciate it. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. And yeah, maybe later on this year we can catch up again. But yeah, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. No worries, man.